Eta, all these, he indeed, eva, certainly, iha, in this universe, nibhi, by all living entities, upagantavyaha, achievable, gatayaha, destinations, yatha karma, according to one's past activities, vinirmitaha, created, yatha upadesham, as instructed, anuvarnitaha, described accordingly, kaman, material enjoyment, kama yamanehe, by those who are desiring. Translation by His Divine Grace Shri Prabhupada, Shri Bhagavadgita. My dear King, as I have heard of it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to the fruitive activities and desires of the conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems. And in this way, they live within this material creation. Puppet by His Divine Grace Shri Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Anadi karma phale padi bhavar nava jale taribare na dekhi upai. My Lord, I do not know when I commenced my material life, but I can certainly experience that I have fallen in the deep ocean of nescience. Now I can also see that there is no other way to get out of it than to take shelter of your lotus feet. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offers the following prayers. Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishambe Bhavam Bhudau Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sitadhuli Sadrshanam Vichintaya. My dear Lord, the son of Nand Maharaj, I am your eternal servant. Somehow or other I have fallen into this ocean of nescience. Kindly save me from this horrible condition of materialistic life. Om Jnantimirandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanuste Devi Pranamami Haripre. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadikar Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pisthaya, Bhutale, Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Krishna. Verse 11. Even if he be distressed or disregarded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, he or anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Shesha? Of whom else should one take shelter? Because the Lord is unlimited, no one can estimate his power. This entire universe, filled with its many great mountains, rivers, oceans, trees, and living entities, is resting just like an atom on one of his many hoods, many thousands of hoods. Is there anyone, even with thousands of tongues, who can describe his glories? There is no end to the great and glorious qualities of that powerful Lord Anantadev. Indeed, his prowess is unlimited. Though self-sufficient, he himself is the support of everything. He resides beneath the lower planetary systems and easily sustains the entire universe. My dear Lord, as I have heard of it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to the fruitive activities and desires of the conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way they live within this material world. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, fifth canto, which is called as a creative impetus or Visarga, which also means what? What does Visarga means? What does it mean?
Secondary creation.
Secondary creation means what? What is secondary creation mean?
Creation by Brahma.
What is primary creation? What is the difference between Sarga and Visarga? What is Sarga? Primary creation. So what is the difference?
Sarga is the primary elements created by the Lord, and
Okay.
Brahma
as secondary creator, he creates the um, necessary means using those ingredients, he creates
Yeah, very
other.
nice, very nice.
Primary creation is the
Hare Krishna.
creation of the cosmic manifestation, and this cosmic manifestation is then inhabited and by the jivas and the prakrutis. That is secondary creation.
Very nice. So very nice. Thank you. So primary creation is that the ingredients are created. Secondary creation is the civil engineer comes and starts creating. So the Visarga, creative impetus. That's why we are studying so much about all the arrangements in this material world in so much great detail. And we are reading about the glories of Lord Anantadev. And Lord Anantadev uh, is resting beneath the lower planetary systems and is facilitating what? What does he facilitate in our lives? In the life of a conditioned soul, what does he facilitate? Hmm? What is Lord?
He brings the enjoyer and enjoyment together and makes enjoyment more attractive.
Yeah, okay, very nice. It also facilitates the forgetfulness, right? He facilitates our
Yes.
forgetfulness of Krishna because we want to forget Krishna. Actually, soul cannot forget Krishna, but we want to forget Krishna. So this is so unique that Krishna actually facilitates our forgetfulness of him because he knows we cannot forget him. In material world, we have hard time remembering Krishna. In spiritual world, they have hard time forgetting Krishna. Today I was hearing the class on Lord Ram and how Lord Ram is called uh, Krishna is called Leela Avatar uh, because he's doing all these Leelas or pastimes, and Lord Ram is called
Maryada Purushottama.
Maryada Purushottam.
Avatar. Is it Maryada Purushottam Avatar?
Yeah.
So, and another analogy that I was hearing was of a mango. There is a golden ripe mango, and then there is a green mango which is unripe, and then there is a mango which is black or spoiled. Still mango. So it says, okay, so three incarnations or three appearances of Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is compared like that. Like Krishna is compared to the spoiled mango because he doesn't care. He declares he's God. He is doing all these pastimes. He tells he'll do something, but then he doesn't keep up with what he says. He is, but he's mango. He's like sweet, very, very sweet, but he's spoiled. And then Lord Ram is compared to green mango. Like he's very strict in his word. Whatever he, because the Lord came to teach that particular element, right? That very strict in his word. He's very strict in his vows. He's not going to budge. So he's compared to green mango. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is compared to the ripe, very sweet yellow mango because he is just pouring out this nectar all the time of the Lord without any discrimination. So, like that, when we study about different incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and when different devotees are actually attached to different personalities or different incarnations of Krishna, and we actually are attached to him in that manner in a constitutional position. But we want to forget that. We want to forget everything. We completely wipe out our memory of who we are, who Krishna is, and actually where our home is. So Lord Anantadev facilitates that. But he's angry. Remember, he's holding his anger and his intolerance. But sometimes he shows little anger, and when he shows little anger, then the whole cosmic manifestation is annihilated. Why is he showing anger? Because he is unhappy that why are we not using our time and independence to go back home? Why are we loitering here and there? Having said that, because his heart is full of love for all of us, each one of us individually. Krishna consciousness is such a nice space that where we don't have to compare ourselves with anybody, because it is a very individualized relationship of the soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I was listening that, and you know what the other thing was that uh, we in spiritual world, devotees cannot forget Krishna. In material world, we have hard time remembering Krishna. uh, we have really hard time. The whole struggle is, oh, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but am I hearing really Hare Krishna? Or am I really remembering Krishna for the rest of the day? Yeah. How many of us are facing that problem in our lives? Minute to minute, I'm remembering Krishna, or am I struggling to remember Krishna? What are we doing?
We are still struggling, Mataji.
Right, Hannah. So we're struggling to remember Krishna, and then in spiritual world, the devotees have a hard time forgetting Krishna. So we're forgetting Krishna. So there was this discussion in the class that it still breaks the heart of the devotees that Lord Ram, uh, he banished Mother Sita. So Lord Ram banished Mother Sita. Externally, it may appear that this was because a king can have no fault. But actually, the real reason is that in spiritual world, in spiritual life, there are two kinds of love. One is the love in presence of another person, or Krishna. And another is love in absence of Krishna, which is called Vipralamba Bhav. And out of the two kinds of love, Vipralamba Bhav is more powerful. The distance between Krishna and his pure devotees make his pure devotees grow more fond of him. And Rupa Goswami Prabhupada talks about it. Maharaj was saying this in the class. He talks about it that when Radharani is singing, that when she is with Krishna, she sees just one Krishna. But when she is away from Krishna, she sees him everywhere. She's like asking the bee, where is Krishna? She's asking the flower, the trees, the dust of Vrindavan. She's asking all these animals. She's asking the mountain. She's asking the wind. She's asking everything. Where is Krishna? So she actually sees Krishna more when Krishna is away than when he is personally there. So the difference of our existence in material world and spiritual world is that in material world, when the relationship gets separated by the physical domains or geographical domains or by time factor, then eventually it gets separated. Eventually the bonds are loosened. Like, how many of us are facing that? Like, we have our families or friends or friends from our days of studying or wherever. How many of us are really keeping up with that relationship, or how many of them are really keeping up with our relationship, or family members who have passed away? So the time factor, the geographical factor separates the emotions and then separates us. That's how material world is designed. But in spiritual world, spiritual relationship, when Krishna is separated from his devotees, they actually grow more and more attached. They miss him all the more. The intensity is increased. That when is that time gonna come when we're gonna see Krishna again? So Ananta Dev, when I was hearing that class, I was thinking that Ananta Dev, so basically, to complete that circle, Lord Ram is banishing Krishna, banishing Mother Sita because he wants to invoke this Vipralamba Bhav, where actually they both are really not separated, but they grow more fond of each other, Mother Sita and Lord Ram. But that's not the case in our life. So, but how is it so? Because Lord Anantadev is facilitating that. So he is facilitating both the things. He's facilitating the forgetfulness. But if somebody wants to go to Krishna, he facilitates that also. How does he facilitate? We're reading in this verse that if anybody understands his pastimes, if anybody chants his holy name, his name, if anybody remembers him in the mind, the sins are washed off. So when the sins are washed off, we become more ready to and become more receptive to our spiritual domain of existence. We cannot be in Krishna consciousness and be sinful at the same time. These two things don't stand together. Okay, it's not going to stand. It does not stand because Krishna has not allowed it to stand that way. Krishna has said that one has to be free from all these yesha antagatam papam, right? Jananam punya karma nam dvanda what is the verse? Dvanda nirmukta yesham antagatam papam. So whose sinful activities are completely washed off, that person can go to Krishna. So Krishna has not given that permission that I can be sinful and I can also become Krishna conscious. If he would have given, then it was a different thing, but he has not. Why has he not given? That we can discuss that. It's a different that's a topic of anartha nivritti. Why has he not given this permission? Why is there so much discussion about anartha nivritti? So that's a different domain in itself. But understand the thing is that Ananta Shesh is having dual responsibility, that he's facilitating the forgetfulness, and how is he facilitating? By making us forget Krishna. And how is it manifesting in our life? Is, I told you that the definition of relationships in this particular world is that if we get separated by time factor, by the factor of distance, by factor of emotions, because people can be living really close to each other, but they can be really, really far away. Is it that people get separated, but not in Krishna consciousness, not in spiritual life? So how is it happening? Anantashesh is facilitating, but he is also facilitating our going back to Krishna by washing off our sins if we remember his holy name. And the Lord Anantashesh is very, very, very magnanimous. We cannot even imagine. We're sitting in one part of this planet Earth, in one particular town or country, town, go back to a house, in the house, a particular corner. And there are so many living entities. There are so many things in this planet. And this is all is compared to an atom on the hood, on one of the thousands of hoods of Anantashesh. But for us, this manifestation looks very big. If you ever traveled by air, there comes a point. I know when the plane is at 36,000 feet and I open the side windows, like there comes a point you only see clouds. And only see like either, okay, maybe you can see something down below the clouds, but you only see clouds everywhere. So this appears very, very huge, and the plane looks very, very small as compared to the very, very huge domain of the sky. And this is nothing but compared to an atom on the hood of Anantadev. So imagine that how big he is. How much is the conditioned soul wanting to be separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He's big, yes, in physical dimension, we cannot measure him, but he's very loving. Okay. And he is residing. We know where the God is. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is a complete philosophy. We know the name of the God, we know his address, we know how he looks, we know who his parents are, we know how to get there. So complete philosophy. There's nothing else which is complete. And this is a very important verse where Sukdev Goswami is concluding his discussion with Parikshit Maharaj about Anantadev by saying that how the conditioned souls are actually continuing to live in this material creation because of different desires. I was thinking the other day that whenever we have given our power of validation to external factors, for example, if my happiness is dependent on something outside, for example, if I have this particular position in my career, I will be happy. If I have this particular relationship in my life, I will be happy. If this thing did not happen in my life, if this loss did not happen in my life, I would have been more happy. If I was, taller, I would have been happy. If I was more fair, then I would have been more happy. If I was living in this country, I would have been more happy. If I was thinner or fatter or whatever the case may be, I would have been more happy. If I would have done this particular course during the time when I was younger, I would have been more happy. If I would have done this investment, I would have been more happy. You see, we constantly go on giving our validation of happiness to something which is outside, and we will never become happy. Ever. This is never going to make anybody happy. Because why? Why do you think so? Why this will never make anyone happy? Oh.
Krishna Mataji, because our desires are unlimited. If one is getting fulfilled, then we want another. And then if
Because
one
they
is
all are materially related.
Happiness can be there only with the soul is connected to the Paramatma, super soul.
Okay.
It is only
Mataji,
temporary
we are
happiness,
searching.
Mataji.
All right, maybe
Let-
raise your hands because everyone is. Thank you for your participation, but you're talking over each other and it's
It
difficult.
is only temporary
Yes.
enjoyment. Permanent enjoyment, when you connect to God, you will get the permanent. If you understand that happiness will derive, you
Okay.
can derive happiness.
Thank you.
Krishna.
Vijay Kumari
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji, same. It is permanent, it is not permanent. Temporary. Material is temporary, spiritual is permanent.
Okay. Okay. So Ramya Mataji.
Because we are searching it outside. It is not there outside. We are searching at the wrong place. It is the happiness is inside. So
what is
searching.
this then? If that's not happiness, then what is this then? If I had this, if I do this, if I go here, what is this then?
These are desires. These are material desires. And
Okay.
material desires don't they have
Illusion.
no end.
Okay.
And
Thank you. You want to say something?
These are illusions.
Okay. Okay. Madhumaya Krishna Kanta Mataji.
Mataji, the soul is also Satchidananda. It is Anandamaya Abhyasa. It is very happy by itself. But when it finds happiness is with association with the super soul. So when till that is happening, it will go on searching for happiness. So whatever we find this happiness in the material world is temporary. So we are trying to imitate that and trying to search for that, but we are not getting. So until connected to Paramatma, and then all our activities, if they are concentrated towards Krishna or Paramatma, then we will get happiness. That is the one.
Very nice. A very, very principle-based answer. Okay, thank you. Okay, so with the external validation or externalization, our sources of happiness is actually going to make us more and more unhappy because we just go on accumulating the facts about which we are not happy. So what do? Do you sit with, there are options. We can just sit with the things or situations or relations or whatever is the case we are missing out and just accept that I am actually never going to be happy, or accept that externalizing or giving the power or empowerment for my happiness to someone else or something else is actually setting me up for is a very root cause of my unhappiness. Prahlad Maharaj says that, right? That a conditioned soul, when does the unhappiness of a conditioned soul starts? The minute it starts desiring something outside of itself. So what do we do? Because we are not going to become pure devotee the minute we come to Krishna consciousness. These things are going to be there. Even when one becomes a Krishna conscious person, these things are there. But when at certain level of Krishna consciousness, I think there is this internal dialogue or introspection that these waves will keep on coming. These waves of desires or aspirations will keep coming. So what do? Just sit with it, just let it pass as it has come. If you have ever been to an ocean, you see a very high tide comes, then it goes away also. It doesn't stay there. Nothing stays in this material world. So until we really become Krishna conscious, really in its true sense, we are going to be getting these kind of thoughts because that's how it is. If not Krishna, then this thing. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna say, "Oh, I'm not a pure devotee," or I am so behind, oh, that person has, see, look at that person has become more Krishna conscious than me. Look at that person, they are more happy than I am. So don't go on filling our bag of consciousness with all these thoughts and counter thoughts and counter transference from here and there and here. But there's got to be a pause, okay? And Prabhupada says when the mind is so disturbed that cannot even chant Hare Krishna, what do? He says go sit in front of the deities and just look at the deities. Don't do anything. Just look at the deities and just say, think in your mind that how nicely Radha is dressed, how nicely Krishna is dressed. Just sit down. He does not say that, take some sort of a non-prescription painkiller. Here's these non-prescription painkillers, watch some video or eat a lot, emotionally overeat, or start talking to someone about some random thing so that your mind can be distracted, or get intoxicated, or go for gambling, or go out for a vacation. These things are okay, but I mean, not okay, but the thing is, it's not going to solve the root cause of the problem, because the root cause of the problem is here. It is explained here that this whole arrangement of the material world is such that according to our desires, various avenues are open. Okay, so the happiness is the function of the soul. So what is this then? If I had this, if I had that. I think I have said this before. My spiritual master explained it. He said that this is just absence of sources of misery. We think happiness is the absence of source of misery. But that's not what happiness is. Ananda in Sukha, there are two words, Sukh and Anand. So Sukh means absence of Dukh. Okay, but Ananda means it's like it's happiness which is not dependent on something else, which is not dependent on, there is no, it is not dependent on the absence of a misery, so-called misery. Even if we are in the worst of the worst situations, Krishna consciousness can always make us transcendental, and we can look at, okay, I have this situation and I am there and Krishna is there and the whole parampara is there. But a person who's not in Krishna consciousness don't have that vision. They get very agitated. I was hearing today Prabhupada, when Prabhupada, if you have watched Prabhupada's one of the last lectures on when he was transcribing Krishna book, when he was almost going to leave his body in November of 1977 in Vrindavan, and he was transcribing, one of the last purports that Prabhupada writes is, please make sure that you're not in a wrong association. Samgasta Sanjayate Kama. So that was one of his last instructions. Please make sure you're not in a wrong association, because according to what we are associating ourselves with, we are going to become like that. This Prabhupada's one of the last instructions when he was about to leave his body. Imagine how important this is. Okay, so we have this responsibility of so we can pray, bringing ourselves into various situations in our life. We can pray to Lord Anantadev that please give us the intelligence as to, in this life, let me stop all these push and pulls with the material nature and actually sit down and actually become a devotee of Krishna in a way which I am originally in my constitutional position. I think I'll stop here. Any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections?